Welcome to Fans of the Forge. I'm Sean. We have to my right
Chris,
and then over there on the right, Teresa. So, we are recapping Season 5, Episode 29, The Landsknecht Sword. So, let's get to it. Todd, 27 years experience. He's a part-time smith. He's been in the military. Thank you for your service, Todd. And guess what? We all picked him.
he was the ringer.
He's, you know what? 27 years. It's hard to go against that. Then we have DJ, part-time smith with 3 years of experience. He's a farrier by trade, if you will. Call that a trade. That's Teresa's underdog pick. Sam, part-time smith, 12 years of experience. That's Chris's underdog. And then we have Derek, part-time smith, 8 years of experience, who has spent the last X amount of years living in a yurt or had previous lived in a yurt, something like that.
Yeah.
Who's my underdog. So
Everybody's covered. Everybody's picked.
covered here. So no one's left out. So if we see them the next grudge match and someone's going to be upset, like our buddy there.
Oh, Jeff Wagner.
Jeff Wagner, hang out with him. Yeah. All right, so introducing the judges. Ben did a little fancy thing.
Ben did?
Yeah, he did. He did something a little.
I thought he just waved.
He did a little. There's some spice on whatever he did.
A little spice.
And then it goes to Dave, who did this kind of weird. He
like a tip of the hat kind of thing?
No. He touched his belly, then touched his mouth, then his head, and then went out.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
It was weird. And Doug did his normal thing.
Yeah.
Although it seemed a little more serious than normal.
Maybe because it followed Dave Baker's whatever he was doing.
Yeah, it threw him off.
It's a comparative thing.
Anyway, so round 1. These guys are all given a piece of elevator cable. They need to make a cable Damascus from it. Specs on the blade, 9 to 12 inches with a through tang. So, Todd took the larger cable apart. It was just bound with a couple wires. Cut those off, took it apart. Would he clean it up? I don't know. Or did he just keep a couple pieces?
I think he cleaned it up.
They didn't show him cleaning up, but they didn't give him a whole lot of airtime.
They did show a lot of people doing a lot of things, I'd say, with this cable, as far as prep. But forged it out, does a quench, seems to have an inclusion that shows up when he's grinding. So we'll see if that gets any worse. DJ decided to burn off the grease by just throwing the cable into the forge and expecting that to come out well, versus cleaning it off ahead of time. Doesn't break it down whole hog all the way in, and then he had problems with the cable welding, and then he ended up dropping his blade into the quench oil. Whoops! But pulls it out, no cracks or warps. So
there you go. That's good.
It's funny, when he had his glove on, you saw the oil just in the glove.
Oh, yeah.
That's gross.
There was something that Teresa and I saw when we were prepping for the grudge match, and the guy whose episode it was for didn't end up being at the match. He used a magnet to get the blade out when he dropped it in.
Why don't more people do that?
Yeah.
What was it attached to?
He had a magnet stuck to I think it was a piece of rebar or something.
Yeah, I think so.
And he just dropped it in there and pulled the thing right out.
I wonder
Did they take away all the magnets because that was too easy?
I wonder if they supply magnets or if you need to bring one.
Oh,
that might be a tool you have to bring.
That could be. Maybe he had one.
Yeah. But a good idea.
Yeah.
So
magnets.
Moving on to Sam, he took the large cable apart and cleaned each. I wouldn't say each strand, but
the smaller cable within the
small, because they're made up of many little pieces of wire. End up with a thin billet. He folded it over in an attempt to make it thicker. Noticed his inclusions during his grinding and went for an edge quench. And Derek, he brought a sledgehammer with him, which I had not seen before. Flux everywhere. And the forecast today is flurries of flux, as noted by Will.
Mm-hmm.
He also brought a fullering tool and chainmail gloves, so he came fully prepared.
Yeah.
Or fullery prepared.
Uh,
Oh, didn't see that one coming, did you?
you should have.
Yeah, they should have. And then the forging allows him to solve problems by setting stuff on fire and promptly beating the crap out of them.
Yeah. Makes sense. I like that
It's,
description.
yeah, you know, it's a good hobby to have if you have get that aggression out. And then he had a hard time getting a cap off his acid tube, and he just used Sam's instead, which I get. You know,
Yeah.
be resourceful.
Yeah.
You know, time was running out. He had no choice. So, moving on to judging, Todd, he had some delaminations along the edge. DJ had some small delaminations on the edge and spine, but minor. Sam had a spiral delamination around the thin blade. And you could see like that one like wire looked like it went around the whole thing. And Derek had a minor warp on the blade and a major warp on the tang.
Me, a seesaw.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
It
pretty crazy.
Yeah. And Sam got the boot. I think the explanation was you could chase that delamination with that wire and it could just go on. It could go deep. So it could be a fatal flaw. So moving on to round 2.
Round 2 is where they add their handles, and to keep with the twisting of the cable Damascus, they had to have spiral handles, also a guard and a pommel. So for Todd, while grinding, Ben starts doing revolution math, which I enjoyed, and Dave's like, "You're getting math on me, stop it."
Yeah.
And he had a loose guard, made another one that still didn't fit all that well, but it was better, so he kept it. And he did not fix the inclusion that was in the tip of the blade. Then for DJ, he put epoxy on the tang before it was really ready, and so he wiped it off. And then when he went to reapply more, he only used half of the chemical that makes epoxy.
Yeah.
And so it was not going to dry. And that was their prediction. And the guard was loose. And then Derek starts with correcting the warps, which was smart. He wraps the knife itself in wet paper towel and uses a torch and a C-clamp to work that out, which is one of the safer methods that we've seen. Yay. While welding the butt cap on, it got too hot and it popped off and the epoxy caught fire. So he had to deal with that.
Yep.
And then he created a pull-through sharpener with 2 tungsten carbide rings that he just happened to have on his person because he didn't want to use a grinder for sharpening. He doesn't like to use grinders for sharpening. So that was clever.
That was clever. And you are allowed to bring your own tools, like a certain number of tools. I feel like maybe he got around that rule
Loophole.
because these were around his neck as jewelry, and then next thing you know, he's sticking them in the vise and using them. I mean, he had 2. He had one around his neck
And then one on his
his
finger.
finger.
Yeah.
So, whatever, they allowed it, and because it was jewelry, and he was already on him at that point.
Could you consider your hands tools?
I don't know.
Hey.
Isn't it more or less a level playing field in that regard?
Yeah.
Okay. So then for judging, Dave Baker claims to be the hero. Oh, wait. That was from... Okay, so we kind of copy-paste over. I didn't delete that from the Hollywood edition.
Oh. So wait. So then... Oh, it was the
So it's
baton
a strength...
chop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. The strength test was a baton chop onto the end of copper pipes. So for Todd, how many times did they pound that in?
3 times?
It was only
on
3?
3 positions, but did it... I think
Or
he
maybe
hit it twice.
Twice maybe on each position.
Okay. Well, he ended up with 6 edge deflections.
Yeah, because
So it had to have been
The
at least
pipe.
3.
the pipe, yeah, because the
You
pipe
get 2
goes
each
in.
time. Yeah. Okay. That was Todd. And DJ had some edge deflections. The handle literally crumbled off the tang. Ben's holding it up and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
kind of works." And then he just goes like that.
It was like
And
a
it
cookie
all-
crumble.
Yeah.
Pieces fell down.
And then Derek needs to make it through 9 licks to surpass DJ. So they must have...
Oh, it must have been 3.
10.
At least 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, unless it was 3, 3, 3.
Yeah, because they
3
went
sets
through-
of 3.
Oh,
It was 3
okay.
sets of 3.
Okay.
I remember thinking of that when I watched
So he
it.
has to make it through 9 in order to make it past the crumbling handle. And it broke on the 5th.
Yeah.
So Derek got the boot. That was round 2.
And so at this point, Teresa's definitely getting points, and Sean and I still might be getting points based on our picks.
You all right there, buddy?
I'm not in good shape right now.
Oh, boy. All right.
All right, round 3 is the Landsknecht Sword.
Landsknecht Sword.
This is Maximilian I had something to do with it. It was 15th century two-handed weapon. Specs: 2 parrying lugs leading up to a guard 34 to 36 inches long with at least 2 inches of width. DJ on the first day drew out his material. He didn't use any power tools. This is forged in fire, not power hammer and fire. Day 3, cut the lugs, mismeasured. Need to rewiden the central part from where he cut the lugs. Number 4, uses a horseshoe for a guard. Heat, treat, and quench, heavier than he would like. Moving on to Todd. Day 1, can't say Landsknecht. Making cable Damascus, delaminating in 4 places, ends up chucking it. Day 3, heat treats and quenches. It works the first time. Woo!
Yeah.
Day 5, fit and finish. Weighs in at a solid 8.2 pounds.
Very solid.
This is a big-ass sword.
It's a big-ass sword.
Judging, we noted that Todd's looked better. Not that really makes a difference. We just kind of note it.
Okay, but they were pretty even. On
Yeah,
this
they were
one.
pretty similar.
We
so-
actually had to think about that.
Yeah. So for the kill test, it was a boar carcass. Todd had a comfy handle, stout edge, but it was more of a chopper, not a slicer. It was very heavy, but will kill, even though it didn't really... It made some cuts. It
I
wasn't-
mean, they went against the spine, and it just kind
But I think it was it broke the spine.
it made
and that's what would
well,
kill
it did,
Yeah.
and it made
Yeah.
some little cut there, and he got it. Doug got it
stabbed
through
Yeah.
once, right?
Yeah. Anyway, DJ's was heavier than Todd's. Wasn't very sharp. It was a
It was a blunt force object,
blunt
Yeah.
force
It
object,
did-
and the kill was from the breaking of the back. more than
right?
anything else,
But it
'cause-
didn't cut like Todd's did.
Right, they
And
even
he
had
actually- yeah.
Doug went to go stab it in, and he just ended up pushing the thing out, like just went, and just didn't
really
go in at all.
tried, and he
Yeah,
just wouldn't go.
for the strength test, it was stabbing and chopping into a steel plate. Todd took some deep rolls, but held up. DJ, his balance point is fairly far forward, so it wasn't the easiest thing to swing, and he had some minor rolls. The sharpness test, he had to cut through sugar cane.
Yeah,
Todd cut through it no problem,
Yeah.
and then when it was done, his sword was ringing. It was like a
singing.
It was
Yeah, it
singing
was
sword.
awesome.
It was really neat, and it was like a tuning fork. It was very sharp, made good cuts. DJ did not cut through. It was more of just a smasher, blunt force object. So he did a good job putting it together, but it just wasn't sharp enough. And so, because of the weight, balance, and edge geometry of his sword, Todd wins the episode.
all right.
And that means we all get a point.
Yeah,
So, boop, boop, boop. That's the points. And that's the episode. Season 5, episode 29, Landsknecht Sword.
Landsknecht Sword.
Landsknecht Sword.
No.
Thank you for watching. Remember to
Follow us on not the Twitter, but the Instagram for the sword. The YouTube, subscribe. Chris going to shit his pants later.
We had an interview with Spicy Mike
Spicy
earlier.
Mike.
You should
Put him
watch
up
that.
to some
You know
mischief.
exactly what Chris is going through right now.
Hot sauce mischief, I say.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. That's
See
the
you later.
episode. Bye-bye.
No. 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 No.